Okay, let's unpack this. We are dropping into one of the most uh, tense, intimate, and just desperate meetings you can imagine. Our deep dive today is a snapshot of two men, Steeply and Marathi, and they're on the surface negotiating for these massive shadow organizations. But really, they're navigating this dizzying web of personal betrayals.
Exactly. Our mission here is to figure out what happens when these, abstract discussions about fatal myths become terrifyingly literal. This whole encounter is just heavy, not just with political stakes, but with a life-or-death secret that one of them is holding.
And the scene itself is just screaming about the corruption and the strain before they even speak a word. The material describes it as this super tense early morning meeting out in the desert. It's the time of the false dawns.
Yeah, the light is essential. The air is still chill. The desert floor is the color of like old overtanned hide. The sun hasn't really broken through yet. Instead, you get this sick pink glow. It's described like an unhealed burn just hanging over the mountains of Rincon.
Yeah.
That aesthetic, right away, it tells you this meeting, even though it's official, is already tainted. It's not clean.
And while the atmosphere is heavy, the meeting's effectiveness has been, well, pretty minimal. This is their sixth or seventh get-together. It's sought by their organizations, the USA Office of Unspecified Services, that's Steeply, and Les Assassins des Fauteuils Roulants, or the AFR, which is Marat.
And we should probably underline that organizational context for you.
Yeah.
The AFR is a Quebecois separatist group.
Mm.
The USA Office of Unspecified Services is, well, basically what it sounds like, an American intelligence entity. And these meetings are supposed to accomplish something, right? Diplomatic, tactical.
But they've accomplished little.
Exactly.
Which just sets the stage for the real tension. The real action isn't in some diplomatic success. It's all in the personal dynamic between these two spies. And Steeply, he apparently volunteers for this job despite the language barrier, which sort of hints that he enjoys the complexity, maybe even the friction, of this whole strained relationship.
And you see that friction immediately in their opening conversation.
Hmm.
Steeply doesn't start with state secrets or demands. He opens with an almost academic discussion of fatal pleasure.
He starts with what he calls an Oriental myth, right? And he frames it as a rebuttal, saying that this idea of self-destructive lethal temptation isn't just a North American thing.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through the specifics of this myth. It's pretty strange.
It is highly specific and, frankly, unsettling. Steeply details a woman who is covered completely with long, luxurious blonde body hair. She's exotic, a figure of deprivation, especially to the young men who find her near water. The text notes that Orientals are not bodily a hairy culture, which makes her just this shocking, irresistible thing.
So she's the ultimate forbidden temptation. And what happens when they give in?
The pleasure is so intense, so overwhelming, that it just kills them instantly. Yeah. They're described simply as MORTS, dead.
And Steeply's point is?
Steeply's key point, the one he really wants Marathi to get, is that even the ones who know it will kill them, they do it anyway. It's the ultimate act of self-destructive indulgence.
So knowing it's fatal doesn't stop them. It might even be part of the appeal?
It seems like it.
Meanwhile, Marathi is just listening, but you can see the strain on him. Physically, what details tell us what's going on inside his head?
His reactions are heavy. Sniffs, coughs, long silences. But the source gives us this amazing little window into his distraction. He sees these bioluminescent insects darting around.
Yeah.
And they make him think of playing cards rattling in the bicycle spokes of a boy who has legs. It's this poignant, involuntary thought about his own reality as a member of the AFR, who of course has no legs.
And that moment of distraction is what leads him to push back, right? With his own myth.
Yes, he pivots immediately. He introduces little Isque de Saint-Thérèse. And he can't resist correcting Steeply's horrid pronunciation and syntax. It shows that even with these huge stakes, their relationship has these little academic jabs, these irritants. He's deliberately trying to get under Steeply's skin.
And the way death works in this Quebecois myth is totally different from death by pleasure.
Totally different. The odalisque is so beautiful, so overwhelmingly beautiful, that mortal Quebecois eyes just can't take it. Anyone who looks at her is instantly paralyzed and transforms into a gem, usually an opal.
And they laugh about it.
They share what's called a mirthless laugh. There's no joy in it. It's this dark acknowledgement of how fatal both these myths are.
So you have death by intense pleasure versus death by paralyzing beauty. And Marathi uses this to make a point about, what, historical types?
Yeah, he brings up the Greeks. He argues they didn't fear beauty, they feared ugliness. So for the Greek type, beauty and pleasure weren't fatal temptations. They didn't destroy themselves that way.
So what's the fatal temptation for the modern type? Specifically Steeply's type, the American side.
Well, Steepley offers his own idea first. For the USA type, the fatal temptation is irony and self-contempt, this kind of detached, cynical self-awareness.
But Marathe doesn't buy it.
No, Murthy fires right back. He defines Steepley's type much more personally. He says, you are a man of actions and ends. He's suggesting Steepley is tempted by the drive to do things, to get results, no matter the cost.
So they're basically using ancient myths to perform surgery on each other's fatal flaws right there in the desert.
That's a perfect way to put it.
But this whole philosophical game is just a facade, right? A beautiful, deadly facade, because as soon as it's over, we're slammed with the actual layered, catastrophic reality of this meeting.
This is where it gets so deep. The official spy reality is it's almost a cartoon. It's so complex. Their own organizations expect them to be betraying each other.
Okay, break down this dizzying chain of loyalty and deceit for us.
All right, so the AFR organization believes Murthy is a triple agent.
A triple agent.
They think he's only pretending to betray Quebec for his wife, Gertrude, but that secretly he's memorizing every single detail to report back to his real masters, the BSS, the British Secret Service. It's a total spiral.
But Steepley isn't clean either. He's got his own little deception going on, one he's even hiding from his own bosses at the BSS.
Right. He's holding back the fact that a key Quebecois figure, this M48, already knows Steepley is meeting with Murthy. It's a tiny detail, but it's critical.
And why does he hold it back?
The text suggests it satisfies this uniquely American desire to hold some small thing back from one's superiors. It's like this small act of personal rebellion, claiming a little autonomy in a world where you have none.
And the ambiguity of it all just keeps the tension humming. Murthy knows Steepley is deceiving his own people, but he can't know if Steepley is deceiving him about that deception.
Exactly. They're talking through like two thick layers of fog and strategy.
But all this external complexity, it's nothing compared to Murthy's true internal choice. The real secret.
The secret that's driving every single risk he takes.
This is the core motivation, and it's just devastatingly simple and tragic. What is Murthy's catastrophic secret?
He loves his wife, Gertrude Murthy, more than the separatist cause, more than the anti-ONAN nation of Quebec. ONAN being the Organization of North American Nations, the whole political thing he's supposed to be fighting.
So his ultimate allegiance isn't to an ideology.
It's to her, to Gertrude.
A choice of personal love over national identity. And we have to emphasize the stakes here. Gertrude is in a terrible state.
She's described as skull-deprived and heart-defective. I mean, this is a profoundly vulnerable person, and Murthy's absolute dedication to her is what's forcing him onto this high wire of betrayal.
And the consequence, if this personal loyalty was ever discovered by the wrong person,
yes,
specifically by M48, it's just horrifying.
48 wouldn't just jail them. The text is brutal on this. 48 would drive a literal railroad spike through Gertrude's boneless right eye, killing her. And Murthy, both of them. So that establishes the impossibly high personal stakes under every little sniff, every academic myth they talk about.
That abstract idea of fatal pleasure that Steepley brought up, the idea of knowingly choosing something that kills you, it's made terrifyingly real right here. Murthy has made that choice.
He absolutely has.
His pleasure is the love and loyalty he has for his wife, and he knows that if he's discovered, the result is death by a literal spike.
It completely transforms the scene. Murthy isn't just a cog in some triple agent machine. He's a man making a desperate, sacrificial choice to save the person he loves most. Yeah. He's living proof that ideology means nothing when you're faced with immediate, intimate human love. His motive is purely defensive and tragic.
The weight of that secret must be just immense. And it brings us to the final moments of their meeting, where all this hidden history and strain just bubbles up in these tiny physical tells.
They observe each other with this quiet, almost intimate knowledge. They're experts at reading a body under duress.
Right.
You look at Murthy, we know he has no legs, which gives him this weirdly low resting pulse rate and, like a lot of AFR members, enormous arms. But despite all his physical adaptation, he has this palpable film of dust on his teeth. The desert is literally wearing him down.
And Steepley, for all his attempts at control, is showing the strain too. His face is puffy and drawn, and the little pink wens from his facial electrolysis, part of keeping up his field persona, are brightly pink against the pallor of his skin. He's exhausted and stressed out.
Then you get the subtle deceptions. Murthy knows Steepley is right-handed, but he's fiddling with his cigarette with his left hand. This physical ambiguity is probably intentional, part of his fieldcraft, just to confuse the profile he's giving off.
And the shared knowledge, the little judgments they make about each other. Marathe knows that Steeply knows that cigarette filters don't biodegrade, but Steeply just flicks the butts off the cliff anyway. It's this tiny environmental judgment that Marathe internalizes about Steeply's character.
Even how they handle time is this negotiated ritual. Maratha, to show he's going with Steeply's rhythm, has put his watch in his pocket. He's choosing to let Steeply's preference for the interface dictating its own time run the meeting. They allow each other these tiny moments of control.
So when Maratha decides it's over, he doesn't just say, "I'm leaving." He uses his pretended sniffing, a signal he knows Steeply will get to break the silence, and finally says, "I must soon leave. It has been good to be in the air for a night."
And this exit is where Steeply, the guy Maratha called a man of actions and ends, shows this profound, totally unexpected vulnerability. Maratha offers him a moment of physical ease. He gestures at his legs and says, "You could seat yourself briefly if you have fatigue."
But Steeply says no. He refuses, and he makes a whole show of looking down, mentioning his current clothing. The skirt makes him sensitive about just, plopping down because of the possibility of things crawling up.
It's an explanation rooted in discomfort with his own persona, right? A moment where the gritty reality of the desert breaches his professional mask. But then he looks up at Marathe, and the text says he looks sad.
And his final words are so simple, I'd never realized.
That phrase is a massive crack in the wall. Steeply is admitting a genuine failure of perception, a realization about the true hardship Marathe faces, or maybe about the intimacy it takes to even notice that vulnerability. It's a spontaneous, honest moment of sadness and empathy for his main antagonist. It's a total breach of his role.
It's the perfect encapsulation of the whole meeting. The academic mask has just dissolved, and all that's left is two men, one physically crippled and the other emotionally strained, just acknowledging a moment of shared human fragility right before they have to go back to the deadly game.
And if we connect this back to our opening thought, this deep dive shows the meeting was never really about national politics. It was this intricate dance where the discussion of fatal myths perfectly mirrored the fatal reality of Marathe's own situation. Steeply talked about self-destructive pleasure.
And Marathe is literally risking death for the profound secret pleasure of his love for Gertrude.
Exactly. He's chosen mortality, love, and the threat of a railroad spike over the security of an ideology. It's the ultimate human choice playing out against this backdrop of triple-crossing spies.
And this is why this kind of exploration is so important, right? It shows that even in the most intense, high-stakes political conflicts, the truest, most dangerous loyalty is often deeply personal. It's not tied to a flag, but to the life of a single person.
That's it. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
So if Steeply's fatal temptation is irony and Marathe's is action born from love, we have to leave you with this question. How often does the elaborate, confusing mask we wear just to survive a dangerous situation, Steeply's ambiguity, his skirt, his left-handed smoke, how often does that mask become just as fatal as the temptation itself? Something for you to mull over as the real dawn finally starts to break over those mountains of Rincon.